If I had to go back and do it all over again, I would loosen the reins and I would be a little less restrictive because it's hard. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to share with you something that I have been working on for so long, and today we are going to be talking about that big D word, which is debt. And I want to go through and give you guys some ideas and let you know some steps on the process to take if you want to get out of debt. If I woke up in 2024 back in $90,000 worth of debt, these are some of the things that I would do. So before we get started, the things that we're going to discuss today are: what are the numbers? What do the statistics say? How bad is the situation? Like, we're going to assess the damage. We're going to see what we have and go from there. And then we're going to look at what we have. What can we already do, or what are we doing now so that we can go ahead and get ahead? And then how are we going to be able to tackle this right away? Because the biggest thing is going after it and getting rid of it. What are our other sources of income? And then, do we have any talents that we can actually tap into to increase our income? And then the final thing we're going to do is make a plan, because you can have a goal and you can have an idea of what you want to do, but until you actually have a plan that you implement, it's just a dream, something that you want to happen, but it may not happen. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to look at the numbers, we're going to look at what we have, how bad the situation actually is, and then we're going to look inward to identify how we're going to get this done, and we're going to come up with a plan to get that done, okay? So let's look at the numbers, because what you're going to see looking at these numbers, you're going to realize that the Joneses are actually broke. So we're not trying to keep up with the Joneses because they're over there on the struggle bus, okay? But as of October 2023, the average consumer debt was over $100,000. You can see the exact number on the screen, with the average household income being around $74,000. And I can tell you, depending on where you're at in the southeast portion of the state, that number is much lower. And depending on where you're at in the northeast or even on the west coast, that number is much higher. So it really just depends on where you're located, on what the average income in your area looks like. But according to all the census and the statistics and all those math whizzes, the average across the United States is $74,000. But don't forget, you have your high income earners and then your really low income earners that skew that number. So somewhere in the middle. Now, the deficit between the average amount of consumer debt versus what we're bringing in on average is going to be about $28,000. And I can tell you that number is much higher. If you follow the financial news or like CNBC or anything like that, you see it. And I think that we do a pretty decent picture of, or a decent job of covering it up. But the reality of it is that deficit is much higher. Talk to your friends. Talk to the people you work with. Talk, listen. You'll see. The recession that never came, there's a silent recession going on. No one's talking about it. That's neither here or there. So back to what I said before. The Joneses are broke. Do you really want to keep up with the Joneses? That's on you. All right, so now that we have actually looked at the actual numbers and basically the blanket for the United States, we are going to assess the damage. And in assessing the damage, we're going to look at all of our income, our monthly expenses, our credit card debt, and then we're going to look to see what we're doing, like in a pattern of life or something, to see how that all plays in. So how much money do you have coming in? What are you getting from your W-2 job? I know a lot of us are still W-2 employees. What does that look like? If you're an entrepreneur, how much are you paying yourself? What is your salary? How much money are you bringing in? Do you have any side hustles? When we were paying off debt originally, I was selling stuff on Poshmark. I was selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace before it became this huge marketplace type thing. And I was also baking cupcakes on the side. So, side hustles. Are you doing anything else that brings in additional income? Dog walking, babysitting, working a second job, like going after your passion that's going to become your full-time employment one day. What does that look like? Do you have any child support coming in? Count that, because it will benefit your kids if you have a debt-free lifestyle. Are you getting any alimony? Do you get financial gifts from any family members? All of that counts towards your total income. It's not like we're going to have our employment pay over here, but then we're not going to count this over here because we're going to go have a good time with that. All of it counts. And then, do you have any Social Security income coming, or any disability? Do you have any type of pension or things? Again, all of that goes into your total income. So you want to add that up to look at how much money you actually have coming in. Next, we want to look at our monthly expenses after we look at our total income, and that includes everything within your home. So all your utilities, your groceries, your subscriptions, lawn service, whatever the case may be, all of that. And then everything else that you're spending money on, those random trips to Target or donations, charities, the Girl Scouts, because those girls take cash out now, like they are on it. But everything else for your expenses. Let's look at that. So again, like I said, everything within your four walls, your rent or mortgage or both, if you have like a rental property as well as like a mortgage that you live in, and then your utilities, light, water, gas. Look at your subscription services, Netflix, Prime, Hulu, DirecTV, Disney. I'm telling you, the list goes on. And it's so many now, I can't even keep up. And then your cell phone services, Verizon, T-Mobile, is it through your cable? But again, look at all your monthly expenses. And then how much money are you spending on food? Make sure you count that. Make sure you count the trip to the Dollar General on the way home, or the quick stop by the marketplace or Publix. All of that goes into your grocery bill. And then also look into what are you doing for like your maintenance, the maintenance of your home, the maintenance of your car, like insurance, life insurance policies, car insurance, childcare. Childcare is a huge expense in the United States. Huge. I can tell you, I do not miss paying $2,000 or more for childcare. Gosh, now we only pay like $1,000, but childcare is a huge expense, so make sure you're including that. A tip for that, if you're unsure or if you're just like so used to auto pay or anything, look at your bank statements. See how much you're paying on your credit card every month if you pay it off every month, or look at your credit card statement. Look and see where your money is actually going, and that will help you get a grasp of your monthly expenses. So now that we've looked at our total income and we've looked at our monthly expenses, let's look at our actual debt. And we did not include our mortgage in debt because that's like, background. We use Dave Ramsey to pay off our debt, and he sees mortgage as like one of the last few things that you do. I think it's like maybe 5 or 6. So, and number 7 is so you can live and give like no one else. But so for your total debt, we're not including the mortgage. So let's look what that includes. So identify your debt and how much of it do you actually have. And then your credit cards, your bank credit cards, so like your Barclays or your USAAs or your Navy Federals, whatever, Citibank, Chase, all credit cards, and then your store credit card, Macy's, TJ Maxx, Walmart, Sam's Club. Look at all of your credit cards and look at how much is your debt ratio on that credit card. So your limit versus your debt, and see how much credit card debt you actually have. Then you want to look at your loans, your personal loans, like people who have loaned you money, your bank loans. So again, your Navy Federals, USAAs, Bank of Americas, look at those. Your auto loans, okay, Toyota financing or Honda financing, wherever your car is financed through. And you also want to include your student loans. That's a huge one, I know, but look into your student loans and add all of that up so you know how much loan debt you actually have. Do you have any medical debt? Include that. And medical debt is a good one because that one can be negotiated. Like usually they just want some form of payment, so you can always negotiate like your medical debt. And then finally, your mortgage. And I said that one's last because that comes after we've taken care of everything else, and after we are contributing to retirement and we are adding to our kids' college funds and things like that. Then you start to focus on your mortgage. And then when it comes to like coming up with the plan, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but there are so many ways to get out of debt. Some people use the avalanche method where you pay like the highest interest rate first, and then you get rid of those expenses and it just continues to, avalanche is when it falls all the time. But you do like the highest interest rate first or whatnot. And then some people do the snowball method. We did the snowball method. Psychologically, I think it's great. You get small wins. You really get the momentum going and you're able to see everything compound. So as you get rid of a couple payments, you start adding that money to another bill, you really get to see it. There's no right or wrong way. We just want you out of debt. We just want you in a better situation than what you're in right now, right? So don't get wrapped up on that. Identify what's worked best for you, your family, your situation, right? So now that we've gone through those bank statements and that we've added up like all of the debt that we actually have, what we want to see is if there's any patterns. Like, is there a pattern? Like, what am I doing on a regular basis that is adding to this? And I can tell you, this isn't in the class, but I do want to talk on this for a second. The psychology behind like money and like paying off debt or how we spend, when I tell you it is deeply rooted in so many things. So that might be something you want to consider is how was my upbringing, or how did I view money throughout my life, or how have I viewed money throughout my life? How has it gotten me to this point? Because that will play into a lot of things when it comes to paying off debt. And I've told you guys before, and I'll always tell you, in my mind, broke is always around the corner. So I am like a squirrel, always putting away, always putting away. Scarcity mindset. I'm working on it. I'm not bragging about this, but just to let you know, like, I am not immune to this either. We all have some type of psychological view of money, and it impacts what we do with money. So in doing all of that, what did you find? And let me tell you, do not think that you're about to sit here and watch this video and go do all of this in like 10 or 15 minutes. It takes time. Like for us, it took like a good month or two. And then really when it came to like identifying all of our expenses and everything, because we had some things that didn't come out every month. It was like every other month or once a quarter or whatnot. So it took time. And give yourself grace. I always tell you guys that. Give yourself grace and allow yourself to see what is actually going on. Look at the big picture before you actually dial in. And then when you're ready to start dial in, what did you find? Are you overspending? Do you not have enough money coming in? Mindset, that's a really big one. What are the psychological issues or concerns, your views towards money? And then, did you not realize how much debt you actually have? Like, are you shocked by this number? Because it's easy to swipe. Easy to swipe. Just throw it in the bag. Yeah, but it's easy to swipe. So just go back and look at what you found. And what does that mean? What are you going to do about that? And now that we've identified all of these things, we want to look inwardly. What do we have? What can I do to improve the situation? Do you have like a surplus of cash, like where your income is more than your monthly outcome? Do you have like a large cash savings? Like, is there anywhere you can cut out, whether it's like subscription services, a different cell phone plan, or like less eating out, or maybe you don't need that monthly massage? Just little things to think about. I'm not telling you to change your lifestyle and to like suck and suffer, but I'm just asking you to look inwardly to see what you can adjust. And then, are there ways for you to increase your income? Looking back at us, one, once we added everything up, we actually had a surplus of money at the end of the month. But then two, we had a large cash savings. So when I say that we paid off $90,000 in like 9 months or 18 months, I know we started in like August of 2017 and we were done in like March, April of 2018. So you do the math. We had a large cash savings. That's something that some people don't realize, but long story short, I had started to squirrel away money or whatnot, and when it came down to it and we decided that we were committed and dedicated to it, we threw like $20,000 at it because we followed Dave Ramsey to the T. He said go down to $1,000 emergency fund. We went down to $1,000 emergency fund because that emergency fund is very easy to build back up once you have eliminated all your debt. Like, so what took me months, possibly even years to build up, like once we paid off all our debt, we built it back up in like 2 or 3 months. But so for us, that was the advantage. We had a large cash saving and we had surplus. So then that's when we really started dedicating and farming things out. So again, these sources of income, if you have a surplus, or can you cut back? Let's say you cannot increase your work pay. Like, let's say you're in the military. It's on a timeline on how often like you get raises, and it's usually based off like your promotion and or your annual raise, if we do get an annual raise. And then, but you do have the ability to offer a side hustle or to do a side hustle. I told you I sold clothes on Poshmark, I baked cupcakes, and then I also sold our things on Facebook Marketplace. So that helped out a lot too. So now that we've done all of that, what are we going to do to actually pay off the debt? Because you have to have a plan. More important than a plan, you have to have a why. Why do you want to pay off the debt? What are you trying to do? So identify your why, but then let's come up with the action plan. And like I said, we did the baby steps, so I'm a little biased, but if you guys really want me to go into like the avalanche methods or other methods to pay off debt, I have no issue doing the research and doing it. Just let me know. So let's go into our action plan. And like I said, we used Dave Ramsey. So what we did was we emptied out all our savings except for $1,000, and we put that towards our debt. And for us, that was like maybe 5 or 10 things. But then we also decreased our eating out and shopping, because when I tell you, we would just, or me, my husband would accompany me, but just randomly go shopping, like $500,000-$600,000 shopping days, just because I woke up and I wanted something to do. And those Chick-fil-A runs would get me every time. But it's not just Chick-fil-A, it was just like in general. And then again, we sold all those unused items. And then we put all the extra money towards our monthly expenses. So things that we had to pay, or we put it towards the debt. And like, even when I was selling things, like the cash we would get from that, or like whatever would come in through Poshmark, that would go towards our groceries or whatnot. It was just reallocating and working. But we just did that, and we did it, and we did it. And it got old, and it got frustrating, and we argued, and we fought, and we realized what we were doing and why we were doing it. And we kept doing it over and over and over. It's every month. But that was our plan. We basically did like a basic lifestyle. We didn't really upgrade anything unless we had to. And we just focused on getting rid of the debt. And again, we saw those wins, and then gosh, it was just amazing. But we just did it over and over and over. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, finally, I wanted to just give this up to you. I was in church a few years ago. I think it was in Hawaii. And basically, we were talking about how like the body of Christ needs workers and everything. And let me tell you, thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. That's one of my favorite Bible verses. And it's because we all have something within us. We all have some form of talent. We all have something that will serve other people. And it can come off as like something you do for enjoyment and pleasure that you're not even charging for, but maybe that's your additional income. Maybe you take that skill and you monetize it. Like, I like baking. So the first time I made cupcakes, it was for my old boss in Hawaii. And they were such a huge hit that several people asked me to make cupcakes for them. So guess what I did? I made cupcakes for them, and that brought me in some extra coins. So if you have a talent, or you have a skill, or just what you see as a hobby, there's nothing wrong with monetizing that so that you can get ahead. God wants us to prosper, and he wants us to do well. So be thankful for those gifts. I just want to read this overall thing to you, and then we'll go. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 9, starting at verse 12. The service that you perform is not only supplying the needs of the Lord's people, but is also overflowing in many expressions of thanks to God. Because of the service by which you have proved yourselves, others will praise God for the obedience that accompanies your confession of the gospel of Christ, and for your generosity in sharing with them and with everyone else. Do not keep your talents and your gifts hidden, I'm telling you. And in their prayers for you, their hearts will go out to you because of the surpassing grace that God has given you. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gifts. That's what I'm going to leave you with. I hope you guys found this useful. If you have any questions about paying off debt, or you just want some clarification or anything, please let me know below. I fully support you guys taking this path to whatever financial freedom or financial independence looks like for you, or if it's just improving your situation from better than what it was last month. Please let me know below. I really hope you enjoyed this class, and I will see you guys in the next video. So there you have it, people. If you keep following those steps that you come up with in your plan, whether it's the avalanche method or the snowball method, you will get to pay off your debt. Did I say it was going to be easy? No. Is it worth it? Yes. And it may not take you as fast as it took us. It might take you longer, but be in that moment, be present in the moment, and enjoy and learn about yourself in that moment. And if you're paying it off with someone, understand that person, because we all have different needs and wants, and it's a journey. Embrace the journey and do what it takes to pay off the debt, because like I said, the Joneses are broke. And can this be done into 2024? I wholeheartedly believe yes. And I'm not telling you that it's your lattes that are keeping you broke or your avocado toast. If that's what makes you happy and brings you joy, then go ahead and do it. And actually, if you go back and watch our video on when we paid off debt, you will know that I said, if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would loosen the reins and I would be a little less restrictive, because it's hard. It's not easy. It's not for everyone. Be weird. Do something different. But do it. Again, take your action plan, rinse, wash, and repeat every month until you get to that point. And it's so worth it.